of an eye, you want to kind of copy a quick sketch down, label these key parts. I'm going to write what each of them does, but you probably want to pause the video to get a sketch down before I get talking about what each, the function of each of these is. Alright, so the function of each one, let's start at the front. So you notice the very front here, we have what's called our cornea. Alright, and our cornea is what's going to bend light as it enters our eyes. So it bends the light when it enters our eyes. Our lens is kind of the next thing that it's going to hit. So back here, that's our lens in our eyes. And this is going to focus the light. So it's going to bend. I'm going to put light. This is going to focus the light. And you'll notice that these ones have little muscles here. And so that's what helps kind of focus our light. And the cornea is going to bend the light. We're going to talk more about this later. But the reason why it bends light is because the air, when light travels through air, it moves at a certain speed, and then when it hits the solid material, it changes the speed it travels, causing it to bend a little bit. Anyway, so these two things work together to help us see a clear image. All right, the next part we hit in our eye is called the vitreous humor, and that is also going to be helping us bend and focus light. But it is just that fluid that fills our eye that gives it its shape, I guess. So fluid-filled eye to give it that shape. All right, then the next thing we hit, it's back here. It's our retina. You'll notice it kind of goes along the whole back side of our eye. Our retina is going to be what actually it's going to be what senses the light. So it senses the image. And so you can, your whole retina, you can see images and light with it. And then the fovea is a specific part on our retina. So back here, the fovea, very specific part. And this is going to have a dense region of cones. So when we see light, we have rods and cones that see different things. The cones are what sees colors and details, and so this is going to help us see color / detail better. And you'll notice it's just a dense region at the back of your eye right here. So your whole retina has rods and cones that help you see. Back here we have a really dense region of just the cones that help us see color and detail. And then finally we have the optic nerve. And the optic nerve is what actually sends the signal to our brain. So it's when we see something, then it tells us our brain what we're seeing. So we'll put that in here. All right, so that's just kind of the basic vocabulary of the eye. All right, now we're going to get down here and talk about how we actually see things. So the first kind of key point to notice is that we do have light refracts as it enters the eye. This is a word we're going to talk about a lot more, but it basically means bend. So light bends as it enters our eye, and because it bends, that's what causes us to be able to see images. And so I have a kind of an image down here that you can see how it works. And so how this works is we have the tree that we're looking at, and this is our eye. Now the light waves are traveling to our eye from the tree. All right, when they hit our eye, they start to bend, and it projects the image back on where our fovea is at the back of our eye, and then the optic nerve would send the signal to our brain. You'll notice the picture is projected upside down. Our brain flips it so that it's right side up, so that's not a problem. But we want it to be able to project an image back onto that retina, back onto the fovea. If we don't get it exactly on this spot, if it's projected too close up or too far back, that's when we start being able to not see very well. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about next. So here are the next kind of key points we're going to talk about is when you have some issues and how we fix them. Again, I would probably pause the video and copy this down, and then we're going to do some writing off to the side, so leave some space where you could write. All right, let's first talk about what it means to be nearsighted. So when someone's nearsighted, if you look at the eye, it isn't this normal shape. It's a little bit longer than normal. So generally people that are nearsighted, they're going to have longer eyes. All right, and why that's an issue is because when these light waves come in and they're bent, it can't make it all the way to the back where their fovea is. And so that image, what we're seeing, is a little bit further up in their eye, and so they can't see it clearly. And so longer eyes, it's going to focus in front of the fovea, so they can't see far away images. So let's put that. Longer eyes. Oops, sorry. All right, so nearsighted people, they can see images that are close to them, but an image that's far away, like a far away tree, they can't see that very well. And so it's going to appear blurry. But we know that people that have eye issues, they can correct them by wearing lenses, either glasses or contacts. So if you're nearsighted, the kind of lens you have is called a concave lens. You'll notice that it kind of caves in, so that's how I remember it, concave, it caves in. And the reason why this is important is because you'll notice that when the light comes and it hits the lens, it's going to bend it or refract it outwards. So now it's coming at a larger angle, I guess, into your eye. So when it bends it, it can travel further before it makes the image. So now we can have the image at the back of the eye instead of where it was closer up here. All right, because you notice it, right here it's coming in at a larger distance, I guess, than it started out as. So originally it would come in this a lot narrower. Here we're a lot wider. And so we have more room to bend and to make it to the back of the eye. So to write kind of what concave lenses do is we're going to say that the ray diverges, so like the light ray diverges, and it's going to increase what we call our focal length. All right, so ray diverges, which means the ray is going to go outwards so that it increases our focal length, meaning it's going to be able to make that image further back. So now we could see those faraway images. All right, the next one is about people that are farsighted that have the opposite issue. So their eyes might be shaped a little bit more like this. They're kind of like skinnier eyes. So we're going to say that they have shorter eyes. Farsighted people tend to have shorter eyes. All right, and so when the light rays come in and they're bent, since their eye is short, that image actually is going to not focus until it gets past their eye. And so they are not going to be able to see images clearly because it's past their fovea when that image comes into focus. So because they have the shorter eyes, we're going to write that the focus is behind the fovea. All right, and so they can't see close images. All right, and so we need to help them be able to see images and make it so that when we have our have those light rays come in, they need to be bent a little bit more so that it can now focus on the fovea instead of behind it. So they have what we call a convex lens. So you'll notice it's kind of the opposite shape. It is more circular. It goes outwards instead of inwards. And because of this shape, when the light rays come, it actually bends it in. So up here, concave, it bends them out. This one, it bends them inwards. So now we're entering at a smaller distance or smaller angle into our eye. And so it will focus closer to where our fovea is instead of behind it. So these ones, instead of rays diverging, we're going to say rays converge. So that we decrease the focal length. All right, so rays converge, which means they're going to come together more. So you see the rays are coming in more. Then they're going to travel straight again. But now they're closer together when they hit our eye. And so it will decrease the focal length instead of making it appear back here. It will be able to see that clear image where our fovea or retina is up here. All right. Anyway, so those are kind of the key things you need to know for this lesson, is kind of how we see the different parts of the eye, and then what to make someone nearsighted versus farsighted, and how we fix those problems, and being able to draw some images about it. If